Hey everyone, I need your full attention right now because this isn't just another conspiracy theory or science fiction plot. What I'm about to tell you is happening right now as we speak. October 29th of 2024 will go down in history, if we still have a history after today, as the day our universe began to crash into others. Not just one, but multiple parallel universes, collapsing into ours, and we need to talk about what this means. You need to be prepared. The signs are all around us. Let me explain. Scientists have long theorized that our universe is just one of many in a multiverse, a vast collection of realities, each slightly or drastically different from our own. Until now, this was considered theoretical physics, with ideas thrown around by people like Stephen Hawking, Michio Kaku, and other brilliant minds. But today, it's not theory anymore. It's real. Right now, these parallel universes are smashing into ours, and it's causing chaos. Imagine each universe as a bubble. Normally, they exist side by side, never really interacting. But something has shifted, a cosmic anomaly, and these universes are now overlapping. And that's where things get insane. You might have noticed small things already, missing objects in your home, people suddenly behaving differently, or even recognizing places you've never been to. These are just the beginning. People from all over the world are reporting encounters with themselves. Some are meeting versions of themselves from a universe where their life took a different path. Some are seeing what appears to be their future selves, warning them about events yet to come. And others are seeing darker versions, twisted by choices they've never made in this reality, but have in another. And this isn't a coincidence. The evidence is piling up. Experts in quantum mechanics, along with those studying strange anomalies in spacetime, are confirming that the boundaries between realities are breaking down. And guess what? This was predicted. Some ancient cultures, mystics, and even modern whistleblowers have hinted at the idea that one day, the fabric of our reality would merge with others. We always thought it was a metaphor for spiritual awakening, but it looks like it's happening for real. Let's talk about what this actually means for you. First of all, this isn't just something happening far out in the cosmos or in some lab. It's affecting everyone, everywhere. Maybe you've already felt it, a sense of déjà vu, or recognizing someone you've never met before, but feel an instant connection to. Some people are starting to see their lives from another perspective, almost like they're standing outside of themselves, watching their alternate reality play out before their eyes. This is because the boundaries between these parallel universes are thinning. Here's the wild part. Not only are universes colliding, but time is acting differently too. So if you run into your future self, don't be surprised. What's happening is that these realities are interweaving, and timelines from different universes are converging. You might meet someone who claims to be you, but 5 years older, or even someone who took a different path entirely and ended up in a different version of your life. That's how close we are to these realities bleeding into ours. What do you do when you meet your future self, or a version of yourself from another universe? First, you need to understand that these interactions are delicate. You're not supposed to touch them, or at least that's what some sources are saying. It could cause a paradox, something we're still figuring out the consequences of. But the most important thing you can do is listen. If they've crossed over into your reality, there's a reason. They might be here to warn you of something that's coming. Maybe it's a decision you're about to make, a mistake you need to avoid, or an opportunity you're supposed to take. But here's the tricky part. It's not all good news. Some people are reporting meeting versions of themselves that are downright terrifying. These darker selves come from realities where different choices led them down a dangerous path. If you encounter one of these versions of yourself, you need to get away. This isn't just a fun game of what if. This is real, and the consequences are serious. Some scientists are warning that as these universes continue to collide, reality itself could break down further. Glitches in time, strange phenomena, and the blurring of memories between your life and the life of another you. This could escalate. Some people are calling it the Great Convergence, a point where all realities merge into one, creating a singular, fractured timeline. What happens then? No one knows for sure, but we could be looking at the end of our universe as we know it, or the birth of something entirely new. Scientists and mystics alike are working day and night to figure this out, but we have no definitive answers. All we can do right now is prepare. Keep your eyes open, pay attention to the strange things happening around you, and if you see your future self or an alternate version of yourself, don't panic. Try to understand why they're here. This could be the key to navigating the chaos that's unfolding. We're in uncharted territory. The reality we've always known is changing, and fast. October 29th, 2024, will be remembered as the day the multiverse made itself known to us. The question is, will you be ready when your universe collides with another? Will you know what to do when you meet your future self? Now that you understand the gravity of the situation, let's take a deeper dive into how this could impact the world as we know it. We're not just talking about personal experiences with alternate selves. Entire world events could shift. Imagine for a second that historical events might change, or have already changed, without anyone noticing. Ever heard of the Mandela effect? The Mandela effect might be one of the earliest signs that these universes were starting to overlap. People began remembering alternate versions of history, things that seemingly never happened, but are remembered by millions. What if these memories aren't wrong? What if they're actually glimpses into another timeline, one that's been crashing into ours for years? This is where things start to get even more bizarre. As universes collide, these subtle shifts in history could become more dramatic. Events you thought you remembered clearly could suddenly change. Things that you believed happened might not have occurred in this version of reality at all, and it won't stop at just small details. Larger events, political shifts, technological advancements, even wars, could suddenly appear or disappear from our timeline. Some people are already reporting strange anomalies. Cities they visited many times before suddenly have landmarks they don't remember. Conversations they've had seem to play out differently when brought up again. People are starting to question not just their memories, but the reality they live in. And we've only scratched the surface. But it's not just modern science that predicted this. Ancient cultures and texts have spoken about something eerily similar. There are stories of travelers who move between worlds, different realms of existence. Shamans, mystics, and even religious texts refer to realms beyond our own, warning of the dangers when these dimensions bleed into each other. Maybe what we've dismissed as myth or legend is, in fact, the same thing we're witnessing now, the collision of parallel worlds. Many of these ancient traditions speak about something called the veil, a thin barrier between our world and others. They claim that at certain times the veil would thin, allowing people to see beyond their reality into another. Some cultures believe these moments were a time for transformation, when humans could interact with gods or spirits. But what if these spirits were just alternate versions of ourselves from another universe? And here's where things get even more intense. Some physicists are warning that if this cosmic convergence continues unchecked, we could see a collapse of realities. Think about it. What happens when multiple versions of the same person, or even entire civilizations, occupy the same space? There are theories that this could cause a reality breakdown. Space-time could begin to unravel, leading to what's known as a singularity event, where the fabric of reality collapses into itself. Picture it like a black hole, but for the multiverse. But before you start panicking, let me tell you this. There are ways to stay grounded. There are things you can do to protect yourself from the chaos. First and foremost, you need to strengthen your awareness of the present. As bizarre as it sounds, focusing on the here and now might keep you anchored in this reality. The more aware you are of your surroundings, the less likely you are to slip into the influence of another timeline. Many are turning to ancient practices, meditation, grounding exercises, and even using sacred objects to stay connected to their version of reality. Some believe that certain frequencies can help shield you from the instability of other timelines. Whether or not you believe in these techniques, the people who practice them report feeling more stable, more in control. And right now, we need all the control we can get. We're at the beginning of something massive, something unprecedented. The merging of parallel universes isn't just some distant concept anymore. It's happening, and we need to be ready for whatever comes next. Whether it's meeting your future self, navigating through a glitch in reality, or even watching as history rewrites itself before your eyes, This is the new normal we're stepping into. And no one, scientists, mystics, or time travelers, knows exactly how it's going to end as we move forward into this unknown territory. Stay alert. Trust your instincts. And remember, the future is not set in stone. You have more power over your reality than you might think. This moment, October 29th, 2024, will be remembered as the day everything changed. The question is, will you be ready to face what's coming? Will you be prepared to meet yourself? All right, before we continue, I need to address something important. Since the release of this video, reports have been pouring in from viewers all over the world. People are claiming they've already had encounters, strange encounters, with what they believe to be alternate versions of themselves. Some of these stories are shocking, to say the least. And if this is happening on a larger scale, we're in the midst of something far bigger than we imagine. People are seeing doppelgangers, versions of themselves that seem out of place, from another time or another world. Some have reported seeing themselves just as they are, others and with subtle differences. Different clothes, older, younger, or even with scars they don't remember getting. If you've experienced something like this, don't brush it off. This isn't a coincidence. These encounters could be the result of the multiverse convergence we've been talking about. Let's break this down. If you've come face to face with another version of yourself, there are a few things you need to do immediately. First, and this is crucial, don't panic. It's easy to be overwhelmed in a situation like this, but staying calm will help you think clearly. These encounters aren't random. They are part of a larger cosmic event, and understanding them might be key to surviving what's coming next. Second, you need to pay attention to the details. Look for subtle differences. Is this alternate version of you from a past or future timeline? Are they from a universe where your life went in a different direction? Or are they from a reality so close to ours that the differences are nearly impossible to spot? Any small piece of information could be vital in understanding why these realities are merging. Sometimes the version of yourself that you meet may try to communicate something important. Some viewers have already reported receiving warnings, messages from their future selves telling them to change something they're about to do. If this happens to you, listen. Whether it's a warning or an opportunity, there's a reason these timelines are overlapping. But not all encounters are friendly. Some people have reported meeting darker versions of themselves, versions from realities where things went horribly wrong. These alternate selves might be more aggressive, hostile, or even trying to manipulate you. If you encounter a version of yourself that doesn't seem right, trust your instincts. You need to distance yourself immediately. The merging of realities means that not all versions of ourselves are on the same path, and some may have motives we can't understand. I know this sounds terrifying, and believe me, it is. We are navigating a time where the rules of reality are breaking down, and it's happening faster than we expected. As more of these universes collide, the line between them will blur even further. Time and space are becoming fluid, and this is why you need to be aware of the signs. What do you do if this happens to you? If you find yourself face to face with your future self or a version of you from another timeline, there are a few key things to remember. First, don't make physical contact. We don't know the full consequences yet, but some physicists theorize that touching your alternate self could cause a paradox, a rift in space-time that could escalate the convergence. Try to communicate, but keep the conversation brief. There's a reason your alternate self is here, and they might have information that could be critical. But don't linger. The longer you stay in close proximity, the higher the risk of instability in the timeline. Think of it like magnets. Too much force pulling in opposite directions, and the whole system could collapse. If your future self gives you advice, don't ignore it. We've heard countless stories of people whose future selves warned them of events that would have otherwise gone unnoticed. Car accidents, financial decisions, relationships that took a dark turn. These warnings are coming from a place of knowledge, from someone who has already lived through it, even if it's in another universe. But here's the big question. What happens if these universes don't stop merging? What if we reach a point where the boundaries between realities dissolve entirely? Some experts are saying that we could be heading toward a multiversal collapse, a moment when all timelines and realities merge into one singular, chaotic existence. No more past, present, or future. No more separate universes. just one fractured, overlapping reality. And let me tell you, no one knows what happens then. I didn't think we'd be here so soon. I didn't expect to have to make another video, but the events of the past few days have accelerated things beyond what any of us imagined. The convergence is not only continuing, it's intensifying. I've received hundreds of messages, videos, and testimonies from people around the world who are experiencing something unprecedented. It's no longer just about meeting your future self. The boundaries between realities are thinning faster than anyone predicted. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening in real time. You've seen the signs, glitches in your daily life, flashes of strange occurrences that can't be explained, and it's happening faster than ever. We've entered a phase some experts are now calling the Great Overlap. So what does this mean for us? What is the Great Overlap? Essentially, we're now at the point where these parallel realities aren't just brushing against each other, they're starting to fuse. And as they do, the cracks between worlds widen. More and more people are reporting seeing their future selves, encountering different versions of the people they know, and even experiencing shifts in their environment. Some have even claimed they're slipping between timelines without realizing it, only to come back and notice something has changed. What's especially alarming is that these shifts are becoming more significant. It's no longer just small changes, a sign here, a building there. It's entire environments, relationships, and experiences that are being altered. I've heard from people who say they've woken up in a world slightly different from the one they went to sleep in. People they've known their whole lives have different memories. Cities they've lived in have new landmarks. And worst of all, some of these changes can't be reversed. What can you do? How can you protect yourself from getting lost in these overlapping realities? First, and I can't stress this enough, start documenting everything. Keep a journal of your daily experiences. If you notice even the slightest anomaly, a new street sign, a different color on a familiar building, or a conversation that feels off, write it down. These shifts might seem small at first, but as the overlap grows, they will become harder to track, and you'll need a record to keep your mind grounded in your original timeline. Don't go through this alone. This isn't something you can navigate in isolation. As the convergence deepens, it's going to become increasingly difficult to differentiate between what's real and what's part of a different timeline. Share your experiences with others. You need a network of people who are also experiencing these shifts so that together you can cross-check your realities. And third, stay grounded. We're entering an era where reality itself is becoming fluid, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. Meditation, grounding techniques, and even certain frequencies can help you stay connected to your original timeline. Think of it like an anchor, keeping you from being swept away in the tidal wave of collapsing universes. But now I have to tell you something I've been holding back. Something that's been whispered about in secret forums. Something even some physicists are reluctant to admit publicly. There's a growing theory, one that's terrifying, but becoming harder to ignore. What if these parallel realities aren't just colliding by accident? What if this convergence is intentional? There are some who believe that certain forces, whether they be scientific, interdimensional, or even governmental, are deliberately experimenting with the fabric of the multiverse. These experiments might have started small, but they've grown out of control. Now we're seeing the fallout on a global scale. I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but consider this. With the advancements in quantum technology and particle physics, is it really that hard to believe? There are already well-documented experiments with quantum entanglement, teleportation, and reality manipulation. What if someone pushed those experiments too far? What if we are the unintended consequences of a failed or ongoing multiversal project? Right now, we're in the dark about who or what is behind this. But I can promise you this, the truth is out there, and we're getting closer to it every day. Whether we're dealing with rogue scientists, interdimensional beings, or even future versions of humanity trying to alter the past, we need to be prepared. And I'm going to continue digging to find the answers. We've been taught that ancient civilizations looked to the stars for guidance, mapping constellations, predicting the movements of planets. But what if they were trying to warn us about something far more complex? What if they weren't just looking at the night sky, but at other realities, at alternate versions of our world just beyond our reach? Take a look at these symbols. These are not just random patterns. They're mathematical, geometric, and, according to some researchers, represent multiple layers of reality. The spiral, for example, is a recurring symbol in ancient cultures, from the Celtic spiral knots to the Nazca lines in Peru. But some experts now believe it represents the twisting, spiraling nature of time and space, where timelines overlap and intersect, just like we're seeing today. These ancient civilizations may have known far more than we give them credit for. They left us clues, encoded in their art, their architecture, even in their stories. Many of the myths and legends we hear today, tales of gods descending from the heavens, people traveling to underworlds, or heroes encountering otherworldly versions of themselves, could be metaphors for something we're just beginning to understand. One of the most famous examples of this is the Mayan calendar. While many believed it predicted the end of the world in 2012, some now think it was misinterpreted. What if the calendar wasn't marking the end of time, but the end of a single reality? The convergence of multiple timelines? Could it be that 2012 was just the beginning of the overlap, the start of the process we're seeing accelerate today? And this brings us to a startling question. If ancient civilizations were aware of these multiversal events, were they warning us? And if so, what did they know about how to survive them? Some theories suggest that the structures they built, pyramids, stone circles, and temples, were not just monuments but tools designed to stabilize reality. Could these sites be acting as anchors in the chaos of collapsing realities, protecting certain places from being pulled into the vortex of the Great Overlap? These sites, carefully aligned with celestial events and often constructed using advanced mathematical principles, might serve a greater purpose than we've realized. Some believe they could be acting as frequency stabilizers, creating an energy field that holds reality together. And that's why many of these ancient structures have remained intact, defying the odds of time. I've traveled to one such site to explore this theory firsthand. We're standing here at an ancient temple, rarely visited, and said to be one of the world's strongest points of power. Locals have long spoken of strange phenomena occurring here. Glitches in time, visitors experiencing déjà vu, and even reports of people encountering alternate versions of themselves. I'm not the first to investigate this place, but after hearing about recent incidents during the Great Overlap, I had to come myself. Many believe that this temple, like others, is situated on a ley line, a point where the Earth's energy intersects. These points are said to be powerful enough to influence the fabric of space-time itself. Is this why so many people report seeing doppelgangers, strange figures, and even their future selves near these sites? Could these ancient power points be attracting the very phenomenon they were built to contain? If so, it raises an even bigger question. Were the ancients trying to warn us, or were they giving us the tools to navigate the convergence? As the Great Overlap continues, these ancient places may become key to understanding what's happening. Perhaps they hold the knowledge we need to stabilize our reality, or even to cross safely into alternate universes. But we have to be careful. These sites may be powerful, but they're also unpredictable. The wrong step, the wrong approach, could open a door you weren't meant to pass through. In the next video, I'll be diving deeper into how these ancient sites may have been used to manipulate reality, and how you can protect yourself if you find yourself near one of these power points. We'll also explore the possibility that some of these places may be reactivating due to the multiverse collapse and what that could mean for the future of our world.